So we're doing the green screen behind me because I only have like 2 or 3 options. I got a black screen, a weird photographer's like gray speckled screen, and then I got the green screen. And the thing I'm about to bring out is like all black, so it'd be invisible. It's also why I had to put on a blue shirt, just so, anyway. All right, hey guys, I wanted to do a video that hopefully will kind of stop a very particular kind of question, or more or less solve a very particular problem. There's a lot of people that don't want the advice on the industry, that don't want the advice on how to deal with clients. They want the bare minimum basics, and they want to start making money. Those kind of people are not going to be successful. They're not going to make money. They're not going to get very far in the industry. So I generally don't tailor videos to them. However, there are some people that do need to know the bare minimum basics of what it would take to get started. Now, I've done tons of microphone reviews, and I've done tons of interface reviews and all this kind of stuff. And I have a pretty good playlist on what to get started, or my opinions on certain things, and you can go through them and you can choose the right interface or device for you or mic that fits your budget. But I did want to put together basically an all-in-one standalone device thing that has everything that you would basically need to get started with conditions. But let's go ahead and bring this bad boy out here. All right. So here we have a basically all-in-one setup that is the most affordable, yet still reasonable quality for you to get started. And I have tested this. So this whole thing, I'm going to take it apart, kind of, so I can kind of talk about the individual parts. And every single one of these things I have reviewed on some level. This is the Sennheiser. Not the Sennheiser, the AudioTechnica M30X headphones. There's the M20X. These are the M30X, and I believe these ones are like $50, something like that. These are my travel pair. They're really good backup set of headphones. I do prefer I think the ones in there are 70X. So they're a good bit. The ones in my studio, the ones that I use on a daily basis, are the $150 headphones. But these ones are a really good backup pair. And if those ones went out, I'd be totally fine using these. They're not as comfortable, and there is a slight difference in audio quality, but this is more than enough to get an accurate read on your editing. You'll still get clear audio when it comes to editing, monitoring, and communicating with clients. I don't know why that was so hard to say. But links to everything will be in the description. And again, all of these have been reviewed, and these are all things that I recommend on some level. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down here. And we are going to be doing a test later, so there will be timestamps and all that kind of stuff. We have a very basic, small pop shield, pop filter. These are not entirely necessary, but it's a good thing to have on hand just in case you really do need to get on that mic and you want an extra protection from plosives. You can get any of these. This one's nice because it has a little clamp on it, and it's kind of a smaller form factor for smaller microphones. I don't know if I'll be able to find this exact one because I haven't been able to find the link again, but I think this was like $10 to $15. Pop filters, pop shields, not that expensive. And pretty much any and all of them pretty much work the same with varying levels of minor, nuance to them. They're pretty much all exactly the same. All right. This is the headphone bag. So now we have this stand actually comes from a light stand, I believe. It's actually part of a lighting rig, but I will have some kind of tripod stand that's very similar to this in the description as well. but I would imagine that this wouldn't be more than $20. Not going to be super expensive. The thing that I do like about it, and I'm going to try to minimize this so I can show you the bottom, is the small footprint that it has down here. So it's still, you know, it still has a wide enough, you know, expansion that I'm not afraid of it tipping over too easily, but it's still small enough to not get in the way. It doesn't need a much more space than the Shield itself needs. So that's nice. Inside we have the surprisingly good quality microphone, the Fine. I think it's supposed to be Fine. Why is it spelled that way on the box? If it's supposed to be Fine, I mean it's right here. It's Fine. That we didn't do that. You did that. Anyway, and this is the, I don't remember what the name of it, but the link and the video review, the description. This was a $40 to $50, somewhere between $45 and $60 for this particular microphone. And I was actually surprised by its quality. I went into the review, if you've seen the review, I went into the review not expecting it to be good at all. But it was surprisingly good. I've reviewed tons of USB mics. I've reviewed tons of mics that are within $50 to $60 and they're hit or miss. This one was a hit. This one was a good one. Yeah. And I have a little foam cover on it. A couple reasons. I actually don't like using pop filters. They kind of just get in the way, the usual standard pop filter. But every now and then I do need one of these. The majority of the time I speak off at like a 45, 50 degree angle from the mic, and I just put a little foam cover on it and everything's fine. Also, it prevents dirt or moisture from getting into the capsule. So that is that. And then we have the newer, it says Popfilter Shield, but that's not what this is. This is kind of a, isolation shield, even though it's not really isolation. The point of this little box thing is it does provide a small amount of reverb protection, I guess, prevention. It's so small, so minor, it really doesn't mean anything. But the thing that I actually like about it, and a couple of people have pointed this out, is that these are actually really, really good for holding in bass, the low end of your voice. It kind of captures it and holds it in. And so if you have a USB mic, one of the things that a lot of USB mics have a problem with is being very sibilant and kind of having this tinny, metallic sound. If you have a isolation shield on it that kind of holds in the bass, it may help to kind of overpower that or alleviate that or kind of soften it a little bit. So it's not going to be as pronounced. So that's kind of the idea. But then it also does kind of, prevent a little bit of sound going past the microphone, bouncing off the wall behind it and coming back in. It does provide a little bit of that. Not enough to say that this alone would be a good enough booth, but it does help. Now, I believe the Shield was, I want to say $40. Again, everything is going to be down in the description, as well as there will probably be some kind of like tally going on somewhere around my head. So there you go. And we are going to test this in a second. But this setup is kind of self-contained, and it does need, however, one thing. You will still need to record it in a treated space. But where I'm about to take it is a very small walk-in closet in my room. Small walk-in closet, which is kind of where I've had this. I've kind of just had this kind of just sitting there just in case a client was like, I need something now. I would be able to throw them something at least temporary, until I get back in the studio, turn everything on and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Again, this is something that you could basically put together, relatively inexpensive. You'll probably want a few moving blankets or to put up a little bit of acoustic foam in your walk-in closet, or kind of make a little pillow fort, and you'll be kind of good to go. Now, you won't be able to do everything with it, but I will show you how it sounds, and then we'll kind of talk about where I think it best fits, and then that'll be it for the most part. Oh, by the way, you've been hearing me on the Synco Mic D2 this entire time, going into my Zoom recorder. So if that's any reference, which, by the way, I'm not gonna be showing you what comparing this to the studio. There's other videos. Go watch those. Anyway, let's go to the closet. All right, I got to actually record this part again because one of the major problems with this microphone, and I do gripe about it in the actual review, is that all the controls are on the back. So you always have to like look at the back to see it, and then they have the mute button on the front, which is, it's a least needed thing. I don't need a mute button. I need to be able to see what the hell it is I'm doing. But anyway, trying to fiddle with it anymore. So now we are in my closet. We're in my incredibly small closet. It's obviously not the extremely large closet that I had before, which was 8 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet. 8 feet tall, 4'4", or 5'5". This is what I would say probably most common size of a closet. I can barely put my elbows out to either side of me. Above me is a shelf that has a whole bunch of boxes and blankets and stuff like that. And then I have this kind of shelf cabinet thing on this side that the phone is sitting on. Has a whole bunch of clothes, pants, and stuff like that. And then I have all my shirts hanging up. And then I have like a random knick-knack doodad holder that has like scarves and stuff like that on it. And I was going to treat this space or tidy it up, but it feels more organic, feels more natural, more like what you might be dealing with a little bit more this way. So, get this out from underneath that. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So anyway, yeah, there is nothing on the wall. If you were to get this, the ideal strategy would be to treat your bare wall, which would be this wall, and then put some carpet down and maybe treat the wall behind the mic and the ceiling, maybe. And maybe put a sound blanket on the door to kind of, because this is the weakest surface, and the majority of your noise from outside is going to be coming through this wall, unless you have like a dishwasher or people directly on the other side of this wall. That's probably where the majority of the sound is going to come from. But treat acoustically appropriately. I have tons of other videos on that, so I'm not going to go on too much longer. But for the most part, leaving in all of your clothes is going to be actually good. It's going to be a good thing for you. Because as you can hear, it's not bad. There's not a lot of echo. There's not a lot of reverb. There's not a lot of noise. And most of that is probably because this is so small, such a small space. So there's not a lot of distance for sound waves to travel before they come back. So you're not going to have, long-standing waves, and there's not going to be a distance, some time or delay between what you said and the bounce back. So you're not going to be hearing it as much. You might still get some bass in here, but the majority of what's in here, at least for me, is kind of helping to dampen that. So, the thing that I think this would be best suited for, and kind of the thing that I've been tinkering with it the most in, is audiobook. I think this would be perfect for audiobook. Now, you can get into some small-scale commercial work if it's for like YouTubers, influencers, not major companies, like smaller companies, maybe startup companies, something like that. This is definitely not going to be the kind of thing that you'd be sending to an agent or a major studio. Any demo that you make with this kind of setup, I would not send to agents or managers or studios. you'd be able to put it on, you'd be able to do some stuff on Fiverr, put some stuff on Fiverr, do some stuff for YouTube, some stuff for castingcall.club. You could, again, ACX, do some audiobook, do a little podcast related stuff. It has range. It has some possibility. But because this mic is kind of hard to work with as far as like the gain, and it is a USB mic and it is kind of sibilant, I would not do a lot of character work with this. Now, you could get into character work, again, for small things like probably independent game developers. Good place to start. Or some fan dubs. You could probably start there. But you're definitely going to want a setup that's going to give you a little bit more control as far as the gain, and possibly even, have some limiters and some compression, a little bit of compression. If you're going to be getting into character work, doing things like screaming, yelling, and some efforts and some action sounds, that's what you're going to want there. So this is not really going to be ideal for that, but you can get started. Now, another thing is this is the kind of setup that is inexpensive. So if you're not sure that you want to get into voiceover yet, you can actually have this, not break the bank, not spend too much money, and be able to try enough areas of voiceover to actually find out whether or not it's for you. This is actually something that I've been trying to drill into a lot of people that are asking me about voiceover. Voiceover is not for everybody. Not everybody needs to get into voiceover. Even if you like voiceover or you like the idea of doing voiceover, it may not be for you. And I want everyone to seriously think about that, because voiceover is stressful. It's hard. You're your own boss. If you're not good at management or communication, voiceover is not going to be for you. Even when you get an agent, you still have to do most of the communicating. You still have to do most of the negotiating. You still have to do most of the work on your own. It's also very lonely. It's very depressing sometimes, especially when you're not sure why a company picked someone else other than you, picked someone else than you for a role or something like that. You audition for 100 roles and you don't get anything. This is not great for anyone who would be susceptible to those kinds of doubts, fears, and anything that would be eating at them. So take that in mind. However, if you're not sure yet and you want to spend a little bit of money trying to find out if it is, this would actually be a really good setup because it's not expensive and it is effective for, specific areas, of more independent or amateur or beginner areas of voiceover. Also, if you wanted to get a coach for voiceover, this is actually accurate enough that they can actually they can get a good representation of your skills. And so you would be able to FaceTime with them or Skype with them with this kind of setup, and you would be able to get some really good coaching. So that's another thing that this would be good for. Even if, let's say you had this kind of setup just for coaching, and then you got an agent, and then pretty much everything was recorded at studio, which it really isn't done anymore. I don't know why people keep telling people that that's the thing. It's not. Get that out of your mind. You don't go into studio anymore. It's very rare. So yeah, I would say this is totally fine for that. Again, links to everything will be in the description. And that's pretty much going to be it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of silence. It's a USB mic. It's not going to be perfect. But yeah, and this microphone can plug into your phone. I am recording it directly into the phone, my iPhone. It can go into, iPad, tablet, laptop, desktop, what have you. It's got a lot of options. I think my light's about to go out. So, yeah, it's going to be it. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new, bell for notifications, and leave down in the comment section below. Like to see me cover any other topics. Also, my email is in the description. If you want to email me, ask me any questions, totally fine. I may send this video to some people that are like, how should I get started? There you go. Also, if you know anybody who wants to know how to get started or what they can get to get them started, feel free to share this video with them. Yeah, it's gonna be it. I might do something that's like another option if I find something else, some other like combination of things that would also be really effective, that's inexpensive or around the same price. I may do this again, but yeah, it's gonna be it. So until next time, peace.